Hemshech to Halachos Milah. Tonight we're going to handle the inyan of Bein Hashmashos that's negeya to Milah. It's not only negeya Bein Hashmashos during the week, it's negeya Bein Hashmashos Shabbos also. If let's say the baby is born Friday afternoon after Shkia, or if let's say the baby is born Motzei Shabbos, Shabbos day after the Shkia. The Shulchan Aruch we learned already in Siman Reish Samach Beis, Sif Beis, Sif Daled, Noilad Bein Hashmashos, if the baby's born, let's say for an example, now, or let's say at 9 o'clock, a couple of minutes after Shkia, Zok the Shulchan Aruch, Moinim Loi Mehalayla, you count it from tonight, which means when do you do the Bris? If the baby's born at 8:35 tonight, now a half hour ago, when do you do the Bris? Do you do it Tuesday, or do you do the Bris next week, which tonight is Wednesday? Do you do it next week Wednesday? Zok the Shulchan Aruch that you do the Bris next week Wednesday, even though the baby's born now, which it's technically a couple of minutes after Tuesday, but since it's Bein Hashmashos, it's in between day and night, and it's a suffix what day it is. So the Milah, the halacha is the Milah is going to be done the next day. It's going to be done Wednesday. It's kedai to get a little bit of the background in the din of Bein Hashmashos, and then we'll go from there. We'll go into a few dinim where it's negay and Halachos Milah. The Gemara in Pesachim Daf Tzadik Daled sagt the Gemara that from Shkiyas Achama, from when the sun goes down, from when the sun sets, till Tzeis HaKechavim, till when the stars come out, is a shear of Daled Milan. The shear of Daled Milan, a Milah is 18 minutes. So a Milah 4 times 18 is 72. From Shkia, from when the sun goes down, till Tzeis HaKechavim, till when the stars come out, is 72 minutes. There's another Gemara, the Gemara in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Lamed Daled says that from the Gemara says from Shkiyas Achama starts Bein Hashmashos, and Bein Hashmashos continues for 3/4 of a mil, and then is Tzeis HaKechavim is night, which means 3/4 of a mil. If a mil is 18 minutes, so it comes out to be 13 and a half minutes. So the Gemara says from Shkia till Tzeis HaKechavim is 13 and a half minutes. So the Shailos is, how did the two Gemaras shtim? Is it 72 minutes or it's 13 and a half minutes? Tosfos asks the Shailos, Tosfos and Pesachim asks, how long is from Shkia till Tzeis HaKechavim? Zok Rabbi Tam, and this is the famous Shitas Rabbi Tam. Rabbi Tam says that these two Shkiyas, these are Shkia, which is a Shkia, a physical Shkia when the sun goes down, when it dips below the horizon. That's the Shkia that we see when the sun is no longer here. That's the first Shkia. But even after the first Shkia, it's still Vada Yoim, it's still day, till the next Shkia, which is that 13 and a half minute bracket, which is 13 and a half minutes before 72 minutes after the Shkia. So we have the first Shkia is when the sun goes down, 72 minutes later is when the stars come out, when it's Lila. 13 and a half minutes before that, which means 58 and a half minutes after Shkia, that's when the Bein Hashmashos starts. So later Bein Tam, the Shkia, the Halachos, 58 minutes, 58 and a half minutes after the sun goes down. From then starts Bein Hashmashos, and then you have 13 and a half minutes Bein Hashmashos till 72 minutes after Shkia. That's Shitas Rabbi Tam, with many other Rishonim hold like Rabbi Tam. The Shitas HaGoinim, and the Goyin is very Meirach, like the Shitas HaGoinim. The Shitas HaGoinim says that Be'etzem Shkia la'alacha is when the sun goes down. Today, 8:25, that's Shkia. When the sun goes down, that's when Shkia is. And from then, 13 and a half minutes is Bein Hashmashos. The Gemara in Pesachim says 72 minutes. The Gemara says he's 4 mil from Shkia till Tzeis HaKechavim. Zog in the Go'inim, no, that's talking about Tzeis HaKechavim when all the stars come out, not just some stars, when all the stars come out, that's already 72 minutes after Shkia. But technically, the Shkia from Shkia till Tzeis HaKechavim, the 13 and a half minutes, is from the Shkia when the sun goes down.
What's the gay that comes out all the stars?
What did you say?
What's the gay?
Good, that's a...
It's the same kasha from the first night.
No, in Rabbi Tam is Zicher, Rabbi Tam Lagabi Kachim, the first Shkia is more Negeya. Lamaisa, even like the Ga'inim, that the Ga'inim say that the Shkia is from when the sun goes down for 13 and a half minutes, Avada, it's only... That's the first 13 and a half minutes, which is only in places where it gets dark very, very fast. If you look over here, you go out 13 and a half minutes after Shkia, there's no Tzeis HaKechavim yet. So that everybody agrees that the Gemara is in Bavel and Eretz Yisrael, with the Oifik, it gets dark much faster. So Milah, 13 and a half minutes already is more or less the Zman that is Tzeis HaKechavim. What's Tzeis HaKechavim? The stars come out. What type of stars? So it's Kechavim Bein in mid-sized stars, because the big stars you could even see when it's still by day. So it's mid-sized stars. L'maisa l'chumra, the Shulchan Aruch says by Doiraises we're makbid to wait till Kechavim Ktanim. The Shulchan Aruch says l'hilchas Kriyashma by night, that's Doiraisa. So the Shulchan Aruch says man Kriyashma balayla meshas yitzias gimel Kechavim Ktanim. The Mishnah Berurah explains why 3 small stars. Why not medium stars? That's the shear of Tzeis HaKechavim. Well, machmer, that somebody's going to see medium-sized stars, big stars, and he's going to think that it's medium-sized stars, and he's going to go on a lane Krishma. So maybe we say we're machmer to wait till small stars, and once you saw small stars, then already it's Tzeis HaKechavim. So the Vailu, we have a Machlokes Rabbeinu Tam and the Ga'inim. When the Bein Hashmashos is, which means when is the time that it's Safek Yom and Safek Laila? Is it the first 13 and a half minutes, which would be today from 8:25, or like Rabbeinu Tam, 8:25 for the next 58 minutes, it's still Vada Yom. Only 58 and a half minutes, we're just about getting there now, is first when Bein Hashmashos starts. Up until then, it's Vada Yom. L'nafkamin, if the baby's born, say in middle of the week, or say Friday, or say Motzei Shabbos, when do you do the Bris? Do you do the Bris today, Tuesday, because it's still day, or do you do the Bris tomorrow, because it's Bein Hashmashos, or maybe even night? How do we paskin on this Machlokes? Machlokes, Rabbeinu Tam, and the Ga'inim, how do we paskin? So if you take a look in the Shulchan Aruch in Hilchas Shabbos, Siman Reish Samach Aleph, the Shulchan Aruch is speaking about being Makabel Shabbos, Tosfos Shabbos. The Mechaber explains what's the shear of Tosfos Shabbos. Zok the Mechaber, Zman Tosfos Shabbos is Metchilas Ashkia, from when the sun starts going down. She'ein Hashemesh nira al haaretz, you don't see the sun anymore. Ad Zman Bein Hashmashos, which is, he says, is 3 mil and V'Revia, which means 58 and a half minutes. That's the shear, the Zman, when you can do Tosfos Shabbos, which seemingly clearly holds that from when the sun goes down for the next 58 and a half minutes, it's still Vada Yom. Because if it's not Vada Yom, how could it be Makabel Shabbos? You see, Klor, the Mechaber Paskins, La Alocha, like Rabbeinu Tam, Ladina, that you could do Tosfos Shabbos the first 58 and a half minutes. Lamaisa, that's the Mechaber in Hilchas Shabbos. By us, in Reish Samach Vav, towards the end of Hilchas Milah, the Shulchan Aruch and Sif Tes. Beshir Bein Hashmashos, Reish Samach Vav Sif Tes. Beshir Bein Hashmashos, Ifel Tanoi Vamaroi, Mesapkalon Halacha Kedivrei Mi Hilkach. Dr. Shulchan Aruch, Iyasiyalid Yenuka Mishetishka Achama. From when the sun goes down below the horizon, Dr. Shulchan Aruch, it's a suffix, and Mamela you have to wait, you have to do it the next day. Would seem pretty clearly from this Shulchan Aruch, this Mechaber, that the Mechaber is paskening like the Ga'inim, that Shkia is from when the sun goes down. And once the sun goes down, today at 8:25, it's already Bein Hashmashos, and Mamela you have to do the Bris the next day. What'd you say? But not Lagabi Milah.
It doesn't say
We're handling over here Lagabi Milah, and the Rabbi Tam Lagabi Milah. There's no Shiloh. Lagabi Milah, Rabbi Tam holds that Shkia is 58.5 minutes. Lagabi Kachim, Rabbi Tam has the first Milah, first Shkia.
But where do you see him Mechaber that holds that they go in?
Because the Lashon Mechaber is the Yisyalad Yenuka Mishatishka Achama. Lashon Tishka Achama is when the sun goes down.
There's two Shkias. There's two Shkias.
So we'll get to Replipa, we'll get to what you're saying in a minute. To Shulchan Aruch Harav brings this Mechaber, and he says this Mechaber is not like the Mechaber, not in Shulchan Aruch Harav, in Shulchan Aruch Harav, because over there we rather Paskans like Rabbeinu Tam, but in the Siddur he brings that this Mechaber is soiser to what he says in Orach Chaim, and Meili says that in Chanami Taka that the Mechaber was chayzer, and the Mechaber Taka holds like the Go'inim. We'll get to what he's saying in a minute. The Mechaber holds like the Go'inim that Shkia is when the sun goes down. The Lashon HaMechaber, Mishetishka Achama, when the sun goes down, starts Shkia, Bein Hashmashos, and the Milah, you have to do the Bris the next day. However, I was a little bit bothered in the Lashon, like what Lipa is saying, Mishetishka Achama. Even Rabbeinu Tam also has the Gemara that calls it Shkia. Why does Tishka Achama have to mean that the sun is going down? In the Hoiris Nasan,
the earliest time in the Gemara in Shabbos where he says that that's Machlekes Talam Amarayim, when it says over there Shkia, it means the first Shkia for sure. So when he's going on the Hemshech of that, he's going, we don't know what Allah is like. Milah, we say Tishka Achama.
but Lamaisa,
You would have to say that's not that Shkia that it's
the Shkia of the Pesachim Shkia.
He's talking about Meliket.
Good, but so why can't it be like Rabbeinu Tam, even the sugya and Shabbos, the other sugya of Lama Dalid, that the sugya Rabbeinu Tam learns that Shkia means 58.5 minutes?
But not over there. Over there he learns that also. Himself he does.
No, but the Gemara and Shabbos, even like Rabbeinu Tam, fakert, when it says Shkia means it's the later Shkia. Definitely, Avada like that.
All the Shitas there?
The Machlokes is how to learn the Gemara and Shabbos when Shkia is. When the Gemara says Shkia, does Shkia mean when the sun goes down, or does Shkia mean 58.5 minutes after Shkia? For whatever reason why that's called Shkia, but that's what Shkia means. The Go'inim say Shkia means, like you're saying, when the sun goes down. Rabbeinu Tam says Shkia means 58.5 minutes after Shkia. Up until then, it's Vadayoim. And you could do the Bris. If a baby's born 50 minutes after Shkia, like Rabbeinu Tam, you do it today. You do it on Shabbos.
He touches that in every sheet over there in the one.
Mishatishka Chama.
There says Shkias Chama, it means that Shkia. According to every sheet over there.
All called Shkia.
Reb Nosson Gestetner in Lahiras Nosson, one of his chuvas, asks on this Shulchan Aruch Harav, and he says that first of all the Beis Yosef printed the Shulchan Aruch twice in his lifetime. When he reprinted it the second time, he made changes on the first time he wrote the Shulchan Aruch. And Milah, if the Shulchan Aruch was chayzer now in Yeridei, what he wrote early in Orach Chaim, he would have changed what he wrote in Orach Chaim. And he says, "Ubavadi lagabe hilchas Shabbos hachomer," to say that Shabbos starts like Rabbeinu Tam, Avadi would have changed it. So Milah says it's taken out of stira. I the Shulchan Aruch.
Could be when you printed the first print. Milah also held like Rabbeinu Tam. When you printed the second print, between the Shabbos and Milah, then he changed his mind.
I hear. He says also, you're right, but he says also that the way we set up the Shulchan Aruch is that you shall learn every 30 days, Gans Shulchan Aruch. So he says that Hazoi Vait, it's not like a thing that's mefuzah, takes years to learn. He should have, if to learn in 30 days, so, yeah, and I'm saying, what I mean to say is you should have taken a change. You should have changed, and I'm saying that even in the second time also, here, you're saying that it was after the second time, but even in the second time, if Vivaidi wrote it, but if you could learn it in 30 days, he would have changed the first time also. Lamaisa Hitaka says that when the Shulchan Aruch says Ba'asan Hilchas Milah, that the lashon of Mishatishka Cham, Hitaka means a second Shkia. So the violin, the Machlekes Go'inim and Rabbeinu Tam, we don't have such a clarity if who we paskin like. Even in the Mechaber itself, it's Lakan or Lakan. So let's go a little later into the later Poskim. The Magen Avram in Oyer Chaim in Hilchas Milah, Siman Shin Lamed Aleph, we'll learn Be'ez Hashem after we finish in Yeridea, a whole Siman. The Magen Avram paskins like Rabbeinu Tam. He brings a Maisa, a few things. The baby was born a few minutes after Shkia, Friday, Fakert Shabbos afternoon, and Shabbos after Shkia, and the Magen Avram brings La Halacha that you should mal the baby on Shabbos, even though it was after Shkia, because we paskin like Rabbeinu Tam. So the Magen Avram says La Halacha like the Rabbeinu Tam. There was also the Chassam Sofer, Paskins, like Rabbeinu Tam, and the Ur-Einikel of the Chassam Sofer, the Das Sofer, says that in Preshburg they were noyig up until 58.5 minutes after Shki. If the baby was born, they used to do it like the day before. So if the baby was born 50 minutes after Shkia, Shabbos afternoon, it was a Shabbos bris. Mi'idach, the Shach, we're turned to in Reish Samach Vav, the Shach brings the same shaila about a baby born after Shkia, and he says, he paskins the other way like the Goinim. He says that since it's already a suffix, right after Shkia is already Bein Hashmashos, paskins like the Goinim. So weiter, we have a machlekes over here, the Magen Avram and the Shach, if you paskin like the Goinim, or if you paskin like Rabbeinu Tam. Let's go weiter now to later poskim, the Mishnah Brura. The Mishnah Brura is a big bir halacha within Reish Samach Aleph, famous bir halacha. The bir halacha is Meirich, and he goes through Shitas Rabbeinu Tam and a list who holds like Rabbeinu Tam, and then the Goinim and the Goyin in the Goinim. So he says he's not machriya, but he says even though the Machaber goes like Rabbeinu Tam, he says the lashon of the bir halacha lemaisa bevadai tzorach lizor kedas agra. You should be zar like the gra of a harbim and a rishayim a poskim that right after shkia shosh achamen eschase meinenu hu iser gomer shloi lasas malacha and memele v'chas v'sham lahakol. The bir halacha says even though there's a machlokes the goinim and Rabbeinu Tam lamaisa lahalacha. He says you have to be machmer like the goinim, and right when shkia comes around Friday afternoon, you're not allowed to do malacha. You have to be machmer. It's a suffix deraisa if you could do malacha or not. So maybe you can't do malacha. Oh, Meidach, Motzei Shabbos also, there be a few be halachas weiter. V'nochon l'tchatchilot, a little bit of a different lashon, but he also says, V'nochon l'tchatchilot, lotzes das Rabbeinu Tam, v'chol hani rabusa machzikim b'shitasai, shloi lasses malacha Motzei Shabbos, till 72, achi yishalom, ashir dalad milim. So then he says, Motzei Shabbos, avadu you should be machma like Rabbeinu Tam, which like Rabbeinu Tam, 72 minutes, what? What do you mean it's more chamer?
Motzei Shabbos is always more common than any Shabbos. It's already b'cheskas that it's the Shabbos too.
Yeah, Sufi.
Oh, if it's called b'cheskas also, because it's a suyil ashtanis, it's a regular time that change. We'll get into it a little bit about b'cheskas by Suffolk. What's Lamaisa? So in Shevet Alevi says that when Kishayinu b'chutz la'aretz hayinu regilim k'Rabbeinu Tam, the Magen Avram paskins like Rabbeinu Tam. He says Lamaisa in Eretz Yisrael the minigs nespashit like the goinim, and you see in Eretz Yisrael takats a lot more people are much more dav ma'ariv, even Motzei Shabbos, Yom Kippur. People go with the earliest man, they go with the goinim. The Chazon Ish said 35 minutes after Shkia is Vadei Laila, and if a baby's born 35 minutes after Shkia, you do it the next day. Whether if it's Friday afternoon, 35 minutes after Shkia, it's going to be a Shabbos bris. Or a middle of the week also, it's going to be 35 minutes after Shkia, which is, it's the next day for sure. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, they bring in Shmir Shabbos Kolchasi, Mamasher earlier Zman, he says 17 minutes, and he says the efsher that if you want to be machmer 25 minutes, but that's if you go with the goinim.
They went for the whole world, or just only Yisrael?
They're talking in Eretz Yisrael, only Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, yeah. Eretz Yisrael, Avad and Eretz Yisrael. Like we mentioned before, the Zman of the goinim that they learned the Gemara on Shabbos is the first 13.5 minutes. And then afterwards, it's night, you walk outside over here, there's no tzad of Tzeis Kacham. 30. The teretz is, because they're talking about in Bovel and like in Eretz Yisrael, that's where it's much earlier. But about the places where it's different, it's not going to be.
Why don't they say 13.5 minutes already? Once we're not going with Shitas Rabbeinu Tam. So
you should know that in Shmir Shabbos Kol Chasai, the 13.5 minutes is a shir in Bovel. So what's in Eretz Yisrael? Is in Eretz Yisrael a little more The Shmir Shabbos Kachasi brings even a sheet at 10 minutes, which means 10 minutes is less than 13 and a half minutes. Then he says, Bevadai, not 10 minutes, 17 minutes. And he says, After that even 25 minutes. Just the Enachana. What'd you say? Yeah. Lamaisa, what do you do, Lamaisa? So, right in Yena Shtickle, there's a few Shtickle Cheshevet Alevi, but he says that if somebody that's a noyig like the Goinim, he's not noyig like Rabbeinu Tam, it's hard to tell to say, if let's say the person does Motzei Shabbos Malacha, whatever time in Eretz Yisrael, 35, or whenever in America, if he goes with the Goinim, La Halacha, Dr. Vosder, it's hard to say, to tell this person that if the baby's born 50 minutes after Shkia, that he should wait for the next day. That it's a suffix. If he does Malach, he holds like the Goinim. It's a tarta desastre to tell him to wait. However, he says like this. Lamaisa, what happens if you have, it goes in, he has two interesting Shailos. If let's say you have a moil that's noyeg like Rabbeinu Tam. He holds the earliest man. The baby was born 50 minutes after Shkia. Friday night, 50 minutes after Shkia. He holds 50 minutes after Shkia is for sure night. Motzei Shabbos, 50 minutes after Shkia, he's already doing Malacha. So he's going to do the Bris Shabbos. Lamaisa, the moil, if he holds like Rabbeinu Tam, so loita moil, the Bris can't be on Shabbos. 50 minutes after Shkia. Why? Because the Bris is really supposed to be Friday. 50 minutes after Shkia, it's Vada Yoim, and the Bris was supposed to be Friday. You following? And Milah, it was supposed to be Friday. Milah, loit yen the Shitas Rabbeinu Tam. Shabbos is a Bris Shaloi Bismanai. You're supposed to really be doing the Bris Friday. So you merely have to do it Sunday. Shaloi Bismanai is not Toich Shabbos. So Milah, he says it's an issue for somebody that's doing an earliest man to do the Bris with the earliest man. Let's say it was 50 minutes after Shkia to do it on Shabbos with a moil that holds the latest man. He brings another Shaila the other way around. Let's say the baby was born the next day, Friday, Shabbos afternoon, 20 minutes after Shkia. So, born 20 minutes after Shkia, the father is noyig like Rabbeinu Tam. So, it's born 20 minutes after Shkia, Motzei Shabbos. So, like the father, when was the baby born? Shabbos. He wants to come and get a moil, or let's not even say Shabbos, let's even make it simple, or middle of the week. Yeah, the baby was born today, 20 minutes after Shkia, 8:25. Shkia was born 20 minutes later, 8:45. So he holds like Rabbeinu Tam. The bris is going to be Tuesday. He calls a moil, and the moil is noig like the Goinim. So what comes out? Like the Goinim, 20 minutes after Shkia is Bein Hashmashos a suffix, and Medina, when are you supposed to do the bris? Like the Goinim, if it's born 20 minutes after Shkia, tomorrow, Wednesday, a week later, Wednesday. So he says, there's a problem. What's the problem of the moil doing the bris? There's a problem of the moil making a bracha. Because how could the moil, you're following, how could the moil make a bracha on Wednesday, on Tuesday, next week, Tuesday? The Avia Ben holds like Rabbeinu Tam, was born tonight 20 minutes after Shkia. So late Avia Ben, the baby was born Tuesday, he's doing it next week Tuesday. But Lamaisa, next week's Tuesday, late Moyol, it's already Bein Hashmashos, and you're supposed to do a Wednesday. If you're supposed to do a Wednesday, how can he make a bracha? Very good. He bavarns this sad, but he says, and Nachum is a shliach, but he says that Lamaisa, you could be a shliach from today till tomorrow, but if you hold like the Goinim, you hold that he's not supposed to be doing the bris today, so it doesn't help that you're a shliach. You hold that he's also not doing it. It's not the right time.
Don't hold he's doing wrong. You don't hold that his shit is. You hold that he's...
It's kedai to mention over here that in Sefer Bris Avram HaKohen from Rami Cohn, he brings that there was a Maisa by the Satmar Rebbe, the Divrei Yoel, which was, can you do a noyeg like Rabbeinu Tam? And he says the baby was born 4 minutes after Shkia. 4 minutes after Shkia. And he said to do it after Shabbos. To say it was born 4 minutes after Shkia, and even though like Rabbeinu Tam it's Vada Yoim, he pushed it off to be Choishish like the Goinim. You could say that it was only Shabbos because the Opmach with Shabbos with the Choishish Lashitas Agoinim, or maybe even during the week. That was the uvda was 4 minutes after Shkia, he was chayshish lashitas haga'odim and said to do it the next day.
So what do we do with Motzei? That's what we do? If you don't have a minute,
You ask a good question. So usually the moil is going to tell you. I asked Fisher, which is going to speak next week. He told me that the vast majority go l'chumra. L'chumra like the goinim. He didn't say till how much later. That I guess depends. Like we saw even in the Shevet HaLevi, if a person holds Motzei Shabbos 50 minutes after, but even if you hold like Rabbi Nachum, he said the vast majority hold kamat. Everybody said besides in Skver. Over there they go at least, I think he said a half hour after Shkia, but most go l'chumra de go'inim that even if it's born 5 minutes after Shkia, you don't do the bris anymore till the next day. Yeah, and Chanami, but if somebody holds like Rabbi, yeah.
It goes l'chumra both ways?
Yes and no. The reason why not is because it's a big shmuz. We'll talk afterwards. But even Rabbeinu Tam Shiter and Moshe holds is earlier. It depends why people do earlier Zman than Rabbeinu Tam. So then it doesn't pass to go l'chumra. If you don't go l'chumra, what's the din? If let's say Atkan we spoke, Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. So the suffix of Bein Hashmashos. The Atkan we spoke about Bein Hashmashos is a suffix, and the Milah you push it off. Whenever Bein Hashmashos is, that's a machlokes Rabbeinu Tam and the goinim. But Bein Hashmashos is a suffix, and you push it to the next day. What happens if you mesupik if it was Bein Hashmashos? It happens, Amal. He went into the hospital, and he's not sure. The baby was born tonight, somewhere between 8:15 and 8:35. Like if Shki is 8:25, it was born somewhere over there. So you misupik if it's bechlal Bein Hashmashos. What's the halach over there? What does the ilm say? You misupik if it's Bein Hashmashos. Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. Whenever Bein Hashmashos is, we're not sure if it's day or night. But what's if you misupik if it's Bein Hashmashos?
It's not a sex fake.
What?
It's not a sex fake.
So the Radva says that it's the halach is that it's you still consider as a suffix. So frek the bialacha, why tak? It's not a svek sveka. Why is it not a svek sveka? So the bialacha says two reasons. One, he says, is because she's macheskas mu'beres, like you wanted to say bacheskas, like bacheskas mu'beres, that she was mu'ubra and the baby wasn't born. So you have a chazaka working against the svek sveka. He says another reason. He says that shem suffik chadu. It's one suffix. You mesupik if it's day or if it's night. So it's one suffix. I know you mesupik if it's Bein Hashmashos and if it's day or night, or if it's before Bein Hashmashos. Just to explain what the svek cycle would be is the Bein Hashmashos is a suffix day or night, and then it could be the baby was born even before Bein Hashmashos, which is once again day. But it's all one suffix. Just interesting why the Bir Halacha didn't bring these a third teretz. The Bir Halacha asks the same shaila on the din by Hadlokas Neiris. The Shulchan Aruch says that Bein Hashmashos you're not allowed to light candles anymore. Zok the Mishnah Brewer that even if you're mesupik if it's Bein Hashmashos, you're also not allowed to tzindlech. So the Bir Halacha asks, it's a svek sveka. So he says Shem Safek Chad, and then he gives another teretz and he says that something that you don't know, just because you don't know, that's not called a suffix. If you don't know, it's not called a suffix. Chsaron Yedi is not a suffix. The Shulchan Aruch Rav over there says the Afal Pisha Hu Einei he doesn't know. Other people know. Other people know. So maybe it's not a suffix. So that's really a third teretz why it's not a svek sveka. L'chayr over here also, it's not a svek sveka. These what to be meyashiv, to be mechalach between Adlokas Neiris over here. Just to bring out where's svek sveka. This is a svek sveka which is shem safek chadu. Just to understand where's yes. Where do you find something that's a svek sveka? The halacha is if a baby's born any time and you want to do the bris on a second day of Yom Tov Shaloi B'Zmana, these are machlokes Rishonim. Could you do a bris Shaloi B'Zmana on a second day Yom Tov? Machlokes Rosh and Rambam. What happens if the baby was born, let's go with Shavuos. Shavuos was this year Wednesday and Thursday. The baby was born a week before Shavuos, between Wednesday and Thursday. So, if it would be a regular day in between, what would you do between Wednesday and Thursday? You would do it Thursday. Here, Thursday is the second day Yom Tov. The Mechaber says that even in such a case, the halacha is you push it off to Friday. Frekt Reb Kiveger, the Noidi Yehuda, and the Chassam Sofer. Why do you push it off to Friday? It's a svek sveika. What's the two sveikas? First of all, Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. The baby was born between Wednesday and Thursday, so maybe it was taka born Thursday. That's one suffix. The second suffix is that could be the second day Yom Tov is not Yom Tov. That's a svek sveika. That's a svek sveika. No, we reckon it as a suffix. We're not a suffix be'etzim. It has a din suffix besides Rosh Hashanah. Klap it a din. It's a suffix. We do it out sveika the yoyma. That's a din. Just so we have klar that these Bein Hashmashos is a suffix. Then if it's a suffix, Bein Hashmashos. And one final last din for another minute. I'm sorry, a drop over. What happens if it's for sure before Bein Hashmashos? Shkia today was 8:25 and the baby was born 8:24. What's the halacha? Again, we spoke about Bein Hashmashos as a suffix. Suffix Bein Hashmashos is also a suffix. What happens if it was born vadai a minute before, 3 minutes, a few minutes before? What's the halacha? The Chazon Ish says you have to be machmer a few minutes before to include that in Bein Hashmashos because you can't be medayik. They bring in Oitzer Bris from Weisbrot, he brings that some say, or Pesach Frank, some say 1 minute, 3 minutes, 1 minute. You have to be machmer before the shkia to consider that also the suffix of Bein Hashmashos. And then he brings that Rabbi Yashav holds that even a minute before, if it's a minute before you do the bris that day, whether if it's Shabbos, the middle of the week, up until you could go right up until the shkia. Obviously, like in the Rav Vosner writes in a different shuva, you have to make sure your clock is accurate no matter what. They're handling even with being mitzamtzim. They say that it's hard to get the exact time of shkia, so you have to mark but a few minutes. So what we have is Bein Hashmashos is a suffix, and that's going to stay a suffix. Machlokes is when the Bein Hashmashos is. Then we have if you mesupek when Bein Hashmashos is also a suffix, and then we spoke about if it's a minute or two before shkia, that might also be included in the suffix.